Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my Elder Scrolls Online Thoughts video. In part 1, I showed the trailer for the game. I also talked about the story behind the game and the different factions you can be and the playable races. So if you haven't seen that, I suggest you go check that out, especially if you haven't seen the gameplay trailer that the developers released. But I have a lot to talk about, so I'll get started. PvP in this game is going to be based around the 3 factions trying to take control of Cyrodiil. Now I'm going to assume that the center of the continent is probably just going to be an open world PvP area with some quests to go along with the story. And I'm guessing that PvP is going to be based around taking different forts and resource areas for your faction. They also mentioned how people are going to be able to crown themselves as king once they have control, and that's either going to be a great mechanic or people aren't even going to bother with it and it's going to be completely useless. To me it looked like Cyrodiil is going to be an open world PvP area instead of like an instance off battleground. And if that's the case, I'm sure they're going to actually add smaller instance-off battlegrounds for like capture the flag type matches. And whenever I see these clips of PvP in the trailer, I always think of World vs. World and Guild Wars 2. And before the launch of that game, I was all for World vs. World. I love the idea of it, but come launch, I was kind of disappointed. There's not really as much strategy and coordination involved with it that I thought there would be and I had hoped there would be. Instead, it's more of just like a Zerg fest where my team goes and we push them back to their fort. They regroup and they push us back to ours. And that can sometimes go on for like an hour, and I guess some people do like that, obviously, because the World vs. World is always a queue for it. But maybe Elder Scrolls Online is going to do something a bit different and spice it up a bit. But that's my take on PvP, and next I want to talk about dungeons and the PvE endgame. So the PvE endgame is going to be just as you'd expect from an MMO, where there's going to be smaller group dungeon runs as well as larger group raids. And you can expect to have to grind these over and over and over again to get your full set of gear, because let's face it, I mean, how else are you supposed to do it? Because in the end, the only way to keep players occupied with the content that's already released is to have them play it repeatedly to get their rewards. And I really hate to say this, because I know people get pissed as soon as the game is mentioned, but I think that this endgame is going to be very similar to World of Warcraft's. And if you really hate World of Warcraft, please don't kill me for saying that, but let's face it, the way they described endgame in the trailer is exactly the way it is in Warcraft. And I know a lot of people are fine with that. I mean, I know I'm fine with that. I don't mind grinding out my gear. I played Warcraft for a really long time, and I'd be fine to play a game that is sort of like it. But then again, I don't know for sure if it's going to be just like WoW. It could be completely different, but just judging by how they described it in the trailer, that's what I think. But it's definitely not going to be like Guild Wars 2, where you can start getting dungeon marks at level 30 and you can buy level 80 armor with it. And the last thing I want to talk about quickly is the payment for the game. As of right now, we have no information as to whether or not it's going to be a subscription fee or like a one-time pay with like a cash shop. And I know most games are turning into free-to-play games, or they're just starting out as free-to-play games. And as much as I hate to say it, and I know you guys hate to hear it, this is probably going to be a subscription fee-based game. This game has been in development for a really long time, and I'm sure since the beginning they've planned to have a subscription fee. And if you're kind of on the fence about subscription fees, I would wait before you buy this game and see what other people say about it first. As for me, I'll be getting this game right out of the gate. I'll probably pre-order it and everything. I'm going to play this along with Guild Wars 2 because I don't have to pay for that one. But I think this game has a lot of potential. I think any MMO fan should at least give it a shot when it comes out. As for Elder Scrolls fans, I don't know, you might not like it as much because I doubt it's going to feel like an Elder Scrolls game. But all in all, I think it could be a great game. A lot of people might call this a WoW clone because the endgames look a bit similar, but I think if it's just like WoW, but a little bit different, they added a couple things to make it better, it's not necessarily a WoW clone, and it's still worth your time. Those of you that are looking for completely fresh and new games, this might not be what you're looking for, but as with most new games, this should have 1 or 2 things that are new and innovative. And until we have more information, that's all I have to say about this game. And if you found any part of this video interesting or helpful, please like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.